Podcast. The podcast is back. We're back with the podcast. Dressed like a snack.
Ooh.
I don't have anything else.
You are dressed like a snack today.
Ooh, thank you.
Yes, that's a tightly fitting
All right,
shirt,
let's turn this off. And all right, Screens and Dreams podcast episode. Oh, what is it? Is it 11? I think it's.
I have no idea.
11, and I could be wrong. January 26th is when we're recording this, so
That's right.
If anything changes in the meantime, we have plausible deniability.
It's good to be back. It really is.
It is great to have you back. I cannot wait for your inevitable demise, and I'm excited to talk to you about some things here today. We're going to start with movie news. The Batman.
The Batman.
Nothing
the
to
Fat
say.
Man.
Nothing to say about it.
That's it. Great. All
That's
right, moving
it.
on.
That's
Next
the story.
subject.
Well,
podcast done.
That's kind of the thing is there's nothing really going on big with the Batman right now, which people have asked, like, oh, why don't you cover the Batman? Why don't you talk about Matt Reeves, the Batman? Because Matt Reeves isn't talking about Matt Reeves, the Batman, because he's busy making the movie. And
Thanks for nothing, dude.
So is everybody else. I mean, they don't really, they're not on press tour right now, but there's minor leaks and minor things disclosed in, in interviews. Obviously, Jamie Lawson just had an interview just a little bit ago. Actually, I think it was about a day ago when we recorded this, so it'll have been probably almost a week ago.
Sure.
At the point this goes up. But basically that they hadn't started filming yet, or at least she hadn't. And that would start in a couple of weeks.
Who did she play again?
We don't know.
Oh.
We don't know yet. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she's Barbara Gordon or someone like that.
That was my first guess.
It keeps being described as a mystery role.
Interesting.
So
how spicy.
Yeah. I did want to share really quick from the future. Ooh, hello, I'm back to influence the past. That, the day after we recorded this, Matt Reeves actually confirmed that they were starting principal photography. This was on the 27th. So a little bit more has happened since then, but still not a lot. Principal photography is not a big deal, but it at least means something is happening and getting made. Now, I take you back to the past. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal, honestly. I mean, they're probably in that stage where they're getting everything ready to go, and there's not a lot of news, not like casting details. I feel like they're pretty much casted, ready to go. It's just like, all right, maybe they're in that pre-production stage, I guess, before they're filming, you know what I mean? Where it's just, let's get everything ready to go, and we'll start soon. So, I mean, if she says it's starting in a couple of weeks, doesn't filming usually take like 3-4 months maybe for most movies?
Well, it takes a long time, and then there's a lot of post.
Yeah, so I mean it's still a ways away obviously, but I mean it's cool. It'll be starting soon, and I'm sure we'll start getting news then, but I'm not worried about it right now.
No, I'm not either. And wouldn't you rather that they take the time, like, shut up and take the time to make the movie good versus like
constant publicity?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, this is still better, like 1,000 times better than the DCEU has been handled for years.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Because it's just been like radio silence almost until the thing comes out, and then it just gets tanked as far as reviews.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like this is probably a better direction to go. Just kind of work on your thing, and when it gets closer, talk about it.
Focus on making a good movie. That's kind of what Joker did, to be honest. They released a trailer. What was it? Maybe I think it was in April, and then the movie came out in October. So
and they're not like lying or like keeping a secret. They're just not saying anything because they're working.
Because the movie's not even made yet.
Yeah.
They have people casted. They're ready to go.
It would be different if they were like, subterfuging it. Like, actually, this is a movie about Spawn.
Why is like Christian Bale talking with...
This is a reboot of The Dark Knight with Christian Bale. That's like Matt Reeves in every interview. Yeah. And then it comes out and it's not Christian Bale. It's not a reboot. They're not lying here. There's just nothing to say. So I thought it was worth mentioning, and we'll move on to the next story.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I'm excited about it still. So
me too, for sure. It honestly, my last thing to say about it is it's their first chance, and you and I have enjoyed in some capacity every Batman movie, right? Even the terrible ones where you could still look at it and laugh at the very least.
Yeah, Batman and Robin, I had some good times.
Yeah.
It's a awful movie.
But this is the first shot to not bastardize the character.
I love it.
Because you can say the Christopher Nolan one is like as close as they've gotten to the comics so far in terms of the heart of who he is. But there's still a lot of stuff that doesn't match up that's, off as its own interpretation.
Oh, yeah.
It sort of seems like this is trying to be closer to that comics interpretation so far from what we've seen. Because even the Nolan stuff, and it's not to dispute it, he still does kind of let some people die and some other stuff that happens in there that, like, maybe real, like normal mainstream Batman wouldn't let happen. So this is a new chance, a new chapter. It's going to be its own thing. let's just hope, they know what they're doing. They have great actors, great writers, a great director. Nothing to worry about.
They're moving on from Batfleck. They're doing their own thing. Because you can even see Batfleck was deliberately killing people at times.
Yeah.
So,
you just mowed them down for no reason.
So, I mean, it could go really any direction they want to, and I love that. Do whatever you want. Spend the time. Make it good. And they've got some great minds behind it. I'm really not worried about this movie, and I'm excited to see the trailers when it come out. But I'm also, not to ramble on, because I don't want to...
No, that's fair. Are you not super hyped either right now?
No, I mean, I'm not super hyped, but I was just thinking, too, like, I'm excited that they haven't announced, like, there's a Joker in this movie at all. You know what I mean? Right. Like, Joker's my favorite character. I'm excited that they're moving in a direction where it's like, let's focus on Riddler. Let's focus on Penguin. Let's focus on these guys. And I'm excited that they're going in a different direction. Well,
wouldn't you be extremely satisfied if they did something similar to Begins? Like, I'm not saying like steal the not post credits. I guess it was pre credits at the time, but post movie. What do you call it? The teaser where they like show the playing card.
Yeah.
If they do something similar, like in the sense of like maybe the last shot of this movie. I'm just pitching a fan fiction, but the last shot of this movie, like zooms in or zooms away from Arkham Asylum, and you hear laughing in the background. Anything like that. Incredible. That's good enough. Move on. Like, and it's not that Joker doesn't have to be here, but he's been the only focus of Batman for so long in the live action. Like, I guess, Forever and Batman and Robin and Returns, no, but it's like he always comes back whenever you reboot the character right away. I mean, you had the Keaton one right away. That's him, center stage. Then they wait. Then they finally reboot it with, Begins. He shows up at the end. Then he's taking center stage again in The Dark Knight. That's fine. Then we move on to Batfleck. All of a sudden, he's right there in Suicide Squad. It's like, it's okay to give it a rest.
Yeah. It's all right. And explore some other characters. And it's not that they haven't, like you said, explored other characters, but I'm excited that it's not like, let's rely on a new Joker right away to kickstart this universe off. They trust in some other villains. They trust in the actors that they're getting to play those villains. And I love that.
So you're saying you don't want it to just be every time they reboot Batman, it's Joker for the first adversary.
That's correct.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I'm glad we can come to this conclusion. Hopefully WB has as well.
I almost think that you should build it up to get to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the ultimate one.
Really,
so work your way up to him.
What you should do is start with Red Hood.
Ooh.
I mean, I mean the real Red Hood, not the Jason one.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's like the new version of Red Hood, but I mean,
Red Hood shows up in the movie and becomes Joker,
like falls or something. That's how you should start like a Joker story, and they've never really done that. The closest was Axis Chemicals and the Jack Nicholson Joker.
Right.
That's the closest, but it's never happened the comic way. And
he was in Red Hood.
If this is their way to go, maybe that's something we could eventually see. Who knows? It'll be successful either way.
Yes, it will. It will.
All right, I wanted to talk to you about these Rise of Skywalker concept arts that have been
back
leaked.
For more, are we?
Yeah, so we talked about the J.J. Abrams cut. This is different, and I'm going to give you the TLDR rundown of this for you and anybody else who doesn't know about it. Colin Trevorrow was the original director of this film before J.J. Abrams, before the Dark Times, before the Disney buyer. No, I mean, obviously, they went back to J.J. Abrams after the Rian Johnson fiasco with a lot of people not responding well to The Last Jedi. And it made sense. They played it safe. We both liked the movie. Like, I thought it was a really good movie. I sadly think it's a really good movie that could have been better. But that's fine. I still think it came out really good, And the problem with this is we're getting a look into a version of the movie that looked really interesting. And I'm going to kind of run through these real quick. I'm actually, this might take a little more work than usual because podcast is usually audio. I'm probably going to show these pictures like in the podcast as we talk about them because I think they're necessary. Otherwise, you're listening to nothing.
I agree. Yeah.
But so there's a lot of stuff here. I'm not pulling up the checklist of the Colin Trevorrow version. I'm going off memory and what's here. So if you ask me a question and I don't know, it's because I'm not looking at the Reddit leak of that.
Gotcha.
So we're looking at the concept art. The first one, and this was something mentioned in that Reddit thread, was that originally Rey was going to have a double-bladed blue lightsaber. Which would have been
sick.
Awesome.
So cool.
And so what it would have been, which makes me even more sad, is it's Anakin's lightsaber combined with pieces of her staff.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it would have been pieces of the Skywalker lightsaber from Anakin and then passed down to Luke before he got his hand yeeted off him. And it would have been that.
It did get yeeted, yeah.
It did, dude.
That's a good description.
It would have been combined with that bow staff that she has. And this is such a cooler design,
I think so too.
honest. Like,
I think so too.
And you can see elements of the Return of the Jedi Luke in this mixed with elements of Rey's scavenger outfit.
Oh yeah, well in like the.
Do you see that too? Like how Rey's scavenger outfit plays into that
well,
too?
her outfit is. I like the black and how dark that looks.
Yeah,
like it's more intimidating and imposing, to be honest with you.
And that was one of the ideas too. I was reading about this, and one of the ideas of this Star Wars Episode 9 Duel of the Fates was to be Rey sort of taking the Jedi in a new direction. So it was this idea too that she talks about how balance isn't just the light and the dark fighting for eternity. Like balance is finding balance within yourself. It's like recognizing that passions exist and anger exists and it should be controlled but not completely suppressed and forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a gray Jedi, which if you remember from the old expanded universe were like the Jedi that would, you know, not fully buy into the light side as the only path, but they weren't Sith. Like they wouldn't go off and do evil crap. They would just not completely reject the dark side.
Right.
And it seems like that was this idea for Rey, which could have been really awesome.
It's really cool. It reminds me of and bear with me here.
Harry Potter?
No. I was gonna say it reminds me of
Lord Voldemort, the Gray Man.
You stop right there. I was gonna say it reminds me of like kind of like a Red Hood kind of version of the Jedi, I guess. You know what I mean? Where it's not like necessarily bad, but like they don't just go pure Batman. You know what I mean? Where it's like no killing, nothing. It's like we toe a line, we do good things, but it's kind of like a gray. Is that a decent comparison?
Kind of, and okay. I can even give you a little bit better of a comparison to that. It's a little bit what Batman is to Superman in a way.
Oh,
where
I
it's
like that.
This darker version. Like you have the Jedi or the Hope, and then you have this darker version of it, kind of.
Cool. Okay.
That could have been a really cool direction to take it. And I think it's disappointing because I liked the way it turned out, but it turned out as just Rey's a traditional Jedi.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it would have been nice to take things in a different direction, I guess, for me. Especially coming off of Episode 8, regardless of how everyone felt about those changes, that's what that movie was doing, was setting up changes. So to just disregard changes feels weird. And that's one of the biggest issues I had with 9 is it felt weird. Like, I liked it, but it spent probably a third of the movie backtracking.
It was the first, really, what felt like the first half hour of the movie felt like damage control. You know what I mean? I think, and we've talked about it before, but that's really what it felt like, was they were like, let's clean up what doesn't fit for the narrative that we wanted to tell going from 7.
Yep.
And then in 9, let's try to get back on track a little bit and not completely disregard 8, obviously, because you can't.
No.
But, like, also, let's fix a few things we didn't like. So,
yeah.
I mean, I agree.
And we like that they do that, but it does not feel natural, does it?
No, that was the weird feeling with it, I think, is that it just didn't feel like it flowed smoothly. It didn't transition well, I guess. And I think that's what was like the weird, awkward part about the movie.
Yeah, so. I agree with that completely. And obviously we won't spend as much time on all these.
Right.
This is where a resistance traitor is executed with a light blade guillotine on Coruscant.
Which is so cool.
Which I'm reading off of Imgur, so sorry if some of that's, directly read. I don't know how to read a description of something. I can't tell if this is Phasma, but I think it is.
It looks like Phasma.
And so it kind of seems like they were going to finish off Phasma's story thread, which went nowhere with 8 and 7. Remember that? Where it's just like, she didn't matter in 7. She was obviously there to sell toys, which is the case of a lot of characters.
Sure.
But then in 8, you think like, oh, they're bringing her back. Maybe she'll do something. She didn't. She died. And then in 9, it looks like she was maybe going to come back to sort of round that out and at least matter a little bit. And instead, she's never mentioned, never shows up, right?
Wait, so she's just dead in 9, right? She doesn't show up
She never showed up.
Okay.
I mean, unless in the expanded canon, like now, if they bring her back between 8 and 9, which they might, because I haven't read a lot of the books between those areas.
Right.
But, you can't only rely on that.
Well, if there's anything I've ever learned from Star Wars, that if someone falls down a hole, that doesn't mean they're dead at all.
No, it doesn't. But that's why this could have worked.
Right.
And whereas Maul maybe didn't fit in episodes 2 and 3, with that kind of idea, he did really fit in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He really fit in the margins of the universe, of, this character out there still pulling strings, still doing stuff. And I don't I don't know. I don't think Phasma fits there as much. Like, I don't really care about a story about Phasma's return, like off in some cartoon or comic. I don't care.
No, I think
it would have been this. This is the way to put it,
right?
know?
Oh, 100%. I don't think Phasma is really like on a level in any way with Maul. You know what I mean? Like they're not the same. And
no,
she's okay, but it's never like, oh, Phasma really blew me away in that scene. That never happened.
No,
you know?
And that was one of the best parts of 1. Even though 1 had all its problems, is Maul was really cool.
Maul was sick. He looked really cool, and like this, you never really had that. It was just a shiny, bigger stormtrooper, and that was it, really, you know?
It was a letdown. There was also Rey and Luke training on Korolev. Rey was going to have a lot of interactions with Force Ghost Luke.
Okay.
Like, a lot. Like, Force Ghost Luke was actually going to act as her master, even though he was dead, and keep training her. Which is a really cool idea.
I love that.
Because it doesn't make that much sense that a lot of times these Force Ghosts die and they just peace out.
Yeah, you never see them again.
They're still there.
Yeah.
They're still hanging around. It's the same thing with, like, Anakin. You know, it's like, okay, where are you?
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Why aren't you around more?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if that's the thing, too, is in 9, doesn't Luke, he's, like, moving stuff. Like, with the Force, he, like, moves that plane out of the
still
water.
powerful.
That's the thing. So, like, these guys are still, they could be relevant. They could still be doing things.
And that's the problem, is that, like, there's, I guess maybe there's a bit of an idea with the Jedi of not wanting to play God once they're gone. I don't know. But it's weird to think that, like, they're just letting the First Order happen when they could intervene. Because they still have powers.
Well, that's the thing. When Obi-Wan originally dies in, isn't it 4? He says, you know, I'll become more powerful than ever before.
Yeah, than you can possibly imagine. But then he tells Luke, though, if you go to face Vader, I can't help you.
That makes no sense.
Which is weird, even then. But it was, I always took it as, like, the Jedi probably don't want to die and then be like, oh, I'm a god now, I can influence everything. It seems a little bit against their code.
Yeah.
But to just peace out and never come back is kind of weird too, and that's a bit what Luke did here, whereas like he just shows up for a minute in the middle of the movie
and you don't see him again.
He's gone.
Yeah. Until the end credits, I guess, is when you don't see him again.
Yeah, so this would have been a good direction to take that, where you could respect both of those. He's still helping, but he's not like, all right, I'm gonna go, smash like Kylo Ren into pieces, or anything. It's like, there was also this whole thing about Poe's backstory where he lived with his grandfather. They were going to take the Falcon there. I don't have much to say about that. It's a cool looking city. It looks like a very pokey city.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, like, there's a lot of like just spears and like
go on
sharp objects and stuff here. I don't know.
Yeah, not a lot of stuff. I mean, we never hear about that story.
No,
so it's just like, oh, what could have been, but that's fine. I see that potentially being cool, but also something that no one really cares about.
Yeah,
so
nobody does really care.
That one's not a big
Poe
deal.
did become more likable over the course of the movies. I think Poe and Finn were both wasted in the sequel trilogy in general. The only characters that were really done a lot of justice, I guess, were Leia, Rey, Kylo Ren, Han Solo, I would argue, was done justice. And depending on who you are and what you think, kind of Luke Skywalker with Episode 9. Kind of. I mean, because they sort of like redeem him.
That one's 50-50.
At the end of 8, they redeem him, and then in 9, he's that redeemed version. So it's up to you. Like, did you hate the way they took it? And you're like, I don't think the redemption should have had to happen, or did you enjoy it? It seems that's super polarizing still.
I would agree.
It's
Luke
weird.
Is
like,
very either way.
Yeah.
You go with that,
and when I talk to people, it's like there's people who love that direction for Luke, and there's people who hate it. And I feel awkwardly a little bit in between. Like, I like parts of it. I thought parts of it were dumb. Yeah. So I don't know.
I know. I agree. I'm with you.
Then we have Poe and Rey piloting a razor sail through the Bonadam water, and obviously there's stuff with the Knights of Ren in here. I don't have a lot to say about that either. The Knights of Ren would have, I guess, done something for once.
Okay.
This is supposed to be one of the looks at a potential villain named Tor Valum, which is really creepy looking.
Yeah, he's horrifying. He looks like an alien, like from the Alien movies.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah.
This was such a cool idea. Kylo was going to fight Darth Vader in a cave sequence type vision. Like a vision. Like when Luke goes into the Dagobah cave and fights Vader / himself.
Well, even when Rey does it and she goes in and fights herself in the movie.
And she doesn't really do much though.
No, she runs away basically. Yeah.
This would have been that idea, and apparently Vader was going to annihilate Kylo Ren.
Really?
He was going to beat him bad. And so like that was going to be part of it. And part of this was going to have contention between Kylo Ren and the spirit of or memory of Darth Vader. And, like, there were going to be ideas like Kylo Ren talking to Vader and saying, like, I found out what happened with you becoming Anakin Skywalker. You were weak. You allowed, like, love for your family to cloud your judgment and, like, bring you back to the light side. I'm not going to let that happen to me. So like,
wow,
there was a lot of stuff with that, with Kylo Ren that would have been...
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I do too.
Yeah,
Isn't
man.
that a shame?
Most of this stuff, there's like a couple things I really don't care about, but like pretty much 80% of the stuff that we've seen, I like a lot.
Yeah. What I will say in defense of Abrams' cut, of Abrams' like released movie, you might have felt the same way though if we saw all of Rian Johnson's ideas as just pictures from episode 8 before they happened, and you didn't know the specifics.
That's a fair point.
So I don't know if this would have been better.
Right
yeah,
now, so
yeah, we're seeing the best possible
you're right.
things in it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. They were also going to bring back Coruscant, which I don't get why they didn't do that.
I feel like Coruscant should have showed up in the trilogy at some point.
Yeah, why didn't it? It was like the core of the universe
Yeah.
before, the Old Republic. And the First Order was going to have taken over it. They were going to use like a beacon on Coruscant to broadcast a hologram to like try to get help, kind of like in episode 8, but different.
Okay.
You know, like what they did in that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, talking too much. There was going to be some stuff to show how run down parts of Coruscant was as well. Like kind of a relic of the past idea with like the New Order the First Order having built over it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like old Gotham, you know?
Cool.
Old Gotham and New Gotham. It's like they just said, screw it, we're not dealing with that, and they just built over it.
Oh,
So-
see, I like that.
Yeah. Or Wonder City, you know what I mean? Where it's just like covered.
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot of ideas with that. We have Screaming Finn again. At first I thought this was Photoshopped.
Why is
It's
he
not.
yelling
It's
again?
not. I don't know, but like he yells a lot, and
That's
he was
all he does.
he was gonna bring the Coruscant citizens. Yeah, I know. Ray.
Yeah.
Ray was gonna fight. Oh, this is so cool looking. Ray was gonna be on Mortis. Mortis, where are you? Let me just ask you really quick because we've talked about the Clone Wars. Where are you at in the Clone Wars season 2 now?
I'm in season 2. Yep.
Okay, so later on, without telling you too much about it, there is a planet called Mortis, which is very important. It has very strong ties to the Force.
Okay.
And it has significance to any Force wielder. It's a little bit like Ilum, you know, Ilum where they go to get their lightsaber crystals,
Yes,
like how that's important to everybody.
Right.
Mortis is kind of this important area that's, I guess I would say discovered in the Clone Wars, but sort of like the significance of it's discovered there. And so obviously Rey was going to go back there, which would have tied in very well to the prequel era, which is something that this didn't do that well, that sadly Abrams had said it was going to, and I don't think it did the best job of. The only real tie-in is Palpatine.
But he's in the originals anyways. So
Yeah.
I mean, really it's not though. You know, it's fine. It does,
Yeah.
but it doesn't.
It does, but it doesn't. It does a good job of like having one villain be the villain of the entire 9,
Yeah.
but it's sort of just like machine shopped in there at the end. Like they weld him
They
into the
force it
story,
in
and they're
there,
like,
yeah.
see? That wouldn't have been the case. It seems like with a lot of these things.
No.
They were going to show the underground of Coruscant, which is something we've always heard about, and they don't talk about it. There's a lot of nostalgia stuff in here too. So like they were going to use old Imperial walkers, like the Resistance was, like the old Empire's stuff to take on the First Order.
Are those like customized
they're painted.
AT-ATs?
It's kind of like you see ATSTs.
AT-STs, sorry.
But
yeah.
they're like how you would see the in World War II, like obviously pilots would like have custom paint jobs on their planes.
Yeah.
It's that idea. Like they took the old Imperial tech, like changed it some, and we're using it to fight the First Order.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's great,
It's a lot cooler than riding a horse on a ship.
Yeah, it is.
To
Yeah.
me. And you have this showdown here with the old walkers versus the new ones. See, look at how cool
Those
that
are
is.
insane looking.
It's really nuts. And there's a lot of stuff here with the battle, especially. R2-D2 got damaged, but
Against Coruscant citizens too.
well,
That's important to note. It's basically like an uprising on Coruscant.
Well, yeah.
The citizens and everything.
yeah, that's the thing is the citizens kind of band together with the First Order band together with the Resistance to take on the First Order, and then R2-D2 gets damaged, which Trevorrow said he was never going to die.
Oh, okay.
But he was going to get like blasted. Then you have this fight between Rey and Kylo Ren, which looks really cool. Also, Kylo Ren's mask looks a little different than it did before.
He's got his hood up with the mask too.
He
so
does,
that's kinda
which
cool,
he did
yeah.
in 7.
Yeah.
But it looks a little more like Darth Revan's mask, which is like from Knights of the Old Republic, fused with the Kylo Ren mask. It just looks a little different in design. I don't know if it would have stayed that way. But a lot of this, I don't know. Luke was going to actually basically haunt Kylo Ren and bother him. You know, like how he said, "See you around, kid."
Yeah, yeah.
That was sort of the thing, was he was going to not leave Kylo Ren alone, and Kylo Ren tries to attack him, and Luke just grabs the lightsaber.
Wow.
Because he's like that powerful, they can't do anything to him. It was dark too. Hux was going to kill himself.
Really?
Yeah.
With a lightsaber?
Yeah.
Pulls out a purple lightsaber.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And then they were going to do this callback to the original movie with Leia and BB-8. Like Leia giving BB-8 something which looked like a recording. So there's a lot here. That's
this is unreal. I honestly, and obviously, like we said, we liked 9 and we liked
we both liked it.
And there was obviously problems, but this, just based on concept art, and obviously it's not enough to say this would have been amazing, but looking through the highlights and basically the synopsis of the story, the way that the art looks, and the way, just the tone of the movie, the colors, everything, if this is what would have happened, and say they do it well, it's done smoothly, everything works out, and there's not any, like, I guess, not continuity, not mess ups with continuity.
So you're saying if it was like done smoothly from 8 into this,
but
and this but they just, like fixed issues while also smoothly transitioning.
Yes, this would have been amazing. Yeah. I love how this looks.
I know,
but I obviously it's not what we got.
Isn't it a little disappointing? I mean,
the what ifs are disappointing when they're good.
I wish that we could combine the best parts of 9 with this movie. Like I would combine these ideas with like the fighting on the wreckage of the Death Star.
Yeah.
You know, like from 9, which actually happened. I would combine it with... by the way, we're at the point where we can just talk about episode 9.
Oh, for sure.
I think. Yeah. I'm not saying how it ended, but I would have combined... Honestly, like, I think that this still could have maybe benefited from some kind of villain that had a tie through the whole series. I don't know if that would be Palpatine or not. I like the Palpatine return, personally, more than just introducing a random villain in 9 and having them try to matter. I think at least this way it mattered in the context of the history of the movies, you know, the way they went. I don't know if you could do that by just introducing a new bad guy right at the beginning of 9 and trying to act like, well, he's the bad guy for the movie. I mean, this isn't Marvel, and those are always surface level villains. Like, movies have a hard time introducing a villain in that movie and ending with that villain mattering if they only exist in that movie unless it's a standalone. It's just hard for them to do.
It is, yeah.
And I think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you had combined the best ideas with this, with things like a making sense Emperor return, with the second Death Star, with all that stuff, this could have been a perfect Star Wars movie.
This could have been incredible. This would have been a really nice way to wrap up the saga. And yeah. We're looking at, it's just on the screen, but I wanted to touch on it briefly. Hux was kind of starting after 7, right into 8. Not that he's a giant character by any means, but they made him basically an idiot from 8 on. You know what I mean? Like, he was just a blubbering idiot that did nothing. This looks like they would have gone a different direction with him with him committing suicide, and after they lose the battle on Coruscant. Like, he looks like a more serious, intense character, and I like that, I guess. You know what I mean? He's not an important character. He doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things, but it was just weird to me, looking back on that trilogy, how he was basically introduced as a big character in 7, and then in 8 they're like, no, this guy's an idiot, ignore him, he's not important to the plot. So
yeah, I
mean, obviously Hux is nowhere near the level of importance that like a Kylo Ren or a Rey is, but the side characters do matter, and they add a lot to the plot.
Well, and that's the one thing the prequels did really well with side characters.
Yeah,
and I would argue both the other trilogies didn't do that as well. I mean, like 4, 5, 6, they have amazing core characters, so they work perfectly.
Right.
But there's not really that many side characters that matter that much in those movies if you look at it. A lot of them are set dressing. And I would argue that 1 through 3 undoes that idea. It like starts to pull people in from the outside that matter. And then 7, 8, 9 go back on that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah. Because if you think about it...
Mostly 8 and 9.
Yeah.
The 7 does have a little bit of side characters that do matter. Because, you know, there's...
Maz.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, Maz, and then General Hux. And there's all these side characters that are there and relevant that you really don't get a payoff on later. So
yeah, it's I guess it's just our closing thoughts on that before we talk about the whole podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it could have been great. We still think it was very good.
Yes,
we still think it's a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. You did too. I don't know if you enjoyed it quite as much as me, but we both really did.
I did, yeah.
And I think that it's too bad to see what could have been look so cool. I don't know if it would have turned out well, but it looks like it could have.
And that's and just my final thoughts on it. It's the same thing with like the Snyder cut. You know, you see what could have been.
Yeah.
And you see even with the Abrams cut and now with this cut, a lot of this stuff is disappointing because even if you like what you saw in the original, and the Snyder cut is obviously a completely different thing. But if you liked what you saw in 9, it's still like, well, these ideas are cool, and this would have been sweet. And it's like what could have been is it's hindsight 2020. You know, they should have fixed this. They should have fixed this, but I don't know. It is disappointing, I guess, to see what things could have been and what the ideas were and why they weren't ever brought to fruition. I guess we'll never know, but you know.
And I really think a lot of this could have been mitigated if Disney had a better plan.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, from the start.
Just a blueprint of what they wanted to do. It doesn't even seem like they have that, you know?
No, and you can say Marvel didn't either at first. They didn't, but they figured it out, and then they had a plan going forward for quite a while. And it's like, it seems like Disney didn't figure it out ever. But that's the difference, you know?
Right.
And maybe if they had 15 movies to work with, they would have, but they had 3.
Yeah. You have to do with what you got.
And
yeah,
it's like what Abrams reportedly said too in those leaks too, was that like if you couldn't do this properly in one movie, which I would argue as much as we like it, it should have not been just one movie.
Agreed.
They should have just done 2 movies, sucked it up, part 1, part 2. I know it's not a trilogy, but like act like it is. Mm-hmm. Deal with it. Yeah. If it made the product better, too bad. Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we didn't get in 3 movies. It's like that is an arbitrary division. Like, they made that division up. The fans didn't. There's not a rule in, like, cinema. It's like, if you can't get it in 3 movies, your movies are shit.
Right.
It's like, no, it's
Look
just...
at the Shrek movies, dude.
Yeah, I know, right? Shrek forever,
Have some respect. I know.
And the Bible. Oh, wait, they're the same thing. Shrek and the Bible. No, yeah, it's just arbitrary divisions are hurting these products. Like, the idea of, like, it needs to... We've seen this in TV forever. You know, the idea of, like, I need a 20-episode season.
Yeah.
Okay, but the season would be better if it was 15 episodes. We have a very succinct 15 episodes with, like, 1 episode of filler in there that still expands the characters already. Yeah, I don't give a crap. I need 20 episodes. So you need to come up with 5 worth of filler or draw those out. We've seen that in TV forever. And now it's in movies. And it's kind of a bummer because, like, it's like they have this arbitrary idea of how many you need of something instead of what best serves the story. And in fact, this could have made them a lot more money if part 1 came out and it was fantastic.
And it was good.
How many people would go see part 2?
Yeah, if it redeemed part 8 a little bit and then did its job. I mean, if
Deathly Hallows.
Look at exactly. You look at what it did, and no one complains about that was broken up into 2 because it needed to be. It was a giant amount of context.
Unlike what was it, Goblet of Fire, the 3-hour-long one.
Chamber of Secrets.
Chamber of Secrets, yeah,
gigantic, and it wasn't even that big of a book. So it's like, why are we doing this? But I agree. I think if they break these things up and stop caring about necessarily having this, like, focusing on we need to have 3, we need the perfect 3 because that's what we've done in the past. Just make good content. People will go see it because, number one, the Star Wars fans are the most rabid, passionate fans about anything that I've ever seen, to be honest with you. There's so many purists and people that just love the
in good and bad ways.
Exactly. Yeah, they're rabid for this content. So if you make good, quality content, they'll go and see it. Yeah. But if you're forcing things because you just want to have a trilogy and then it ends up being not good, then people actually start saying the words saturated, and we need to slow down, and we need to stop making
boring.
Stuff as quickly. Boring.
You ruined it.
Yeah,
ruined my childhood is like the thing. I feel like anytime someone says ruined my childhood, they should have a built-in chip where they could just get shot because it's such an overused term. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just a shame that like those arbitrary divisions are what hurts products now.
Yep. Yeah.
And who would have thought we've gotten to the point where you can't make more? You know, it's usually the other way around.
Like, stop making it.
Yeah. But now it's like, no, we don't want to make another one.
We need to stop.
What? You don't want another billion-dollar movie?
Like, why?
Yeah, I don't get that. There's 2 Star Wars things to just brush through super quick, so that's not the Star Wars cast, because I think we only have about 25-30 minutes left to cover everything.
Yep.
Which I will explain at the end. I have to go get my computer fixed.
Oh yes.
So, the first thing is I'm keeping it vague because of you, because you haven't finished the Clone Wars
Because
yet.
of you?
Yeah, because of you. What do you mean, you people? So, the Clone Wars, the final season trailer has launched. There was a bit of a teaser before, but now there's a full trailer.
I didn't watch it because I don't want spoilers.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't watch it. There actually are straight up spoilers. Like, they flash back to near the ending of season 6 in it.
Oh,
so don't watch it.
No, not watching
That's
it.
That's my advice to you. But it looks fantastic. It's arriving. Ow! I just hurt my hand. Friday, February 21st on Disney Plus. I'm getting too excited about Star Wars.
I know.
I actually got super nerdy watching this because I was so excited. It involves a lot of previously unresolved storylines with characters like Maul, I will say.
Excellent.
Going to play a key role, it looks like. And it looks like Maul knows more about what's going on than maybe we thought before.
Okay.
With certain things. Rex is going to have some big tie-ins here.
I love Rex.
Rex and Ahsoka's relationship is going to be better established, it looks like, than it even was before, which is good because they have a pretty strong pre-existing relationship in Rebels. So I will say that's a good thing.
Great.
And there's going to be other things too. It looks like there's a lot wrapping up here with Obi-Wan leading into Revenge of the Sith. There's a lot wrapping up with Anakin. You can see an escalation. Have you noticed a little bit of an escalation of Anakin throughout the Clone Wars too? Of like, he sort of is hot-headed, but he gets a little more like angry. Like,
yeah, you start to
ways.
see. I'm only in season 2, so I'm not super far into it now. But you even see like he's already changed a little bit in one season. Like you've seen him do some things and want to. Like, they're like, we shouldn't torture this guy. And he's like, no, we should, though, right?
Are you talking about Poggle the Lesser, too? Like, that thing?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm that far. I've heard of that guy.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Which guy are you referring to? Do you remember?
No. It was, maybe it was Cad Bane?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, like, stuff like that with Anakin, where he's, like, kind of pushing it.
Yes.
Like, the lines of what's acceptable. And you can kind of tell that the Jedi know... Sort of,
and sometimes they go with them. Like in this case, they're like, well, I don't know. It's like, no, that's our only option. We have to do it. And they're like, okay, and so they all do it.
I know. And there's other times too. That's where they all go in and use the Force on him. Right?
Yeah, and then they're like, well, we could like completely destroy his mind, and they're like, but we have to do it. And so
and there's other times too where like they sort of seem to know what Anakin's doing and like look the other way because it's war.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
And like he's willing to do things that the Jedi aren't. I mean, he's often referred to later on as like the hero of the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like propaganda sort of about Anakin in a way like. Not like written, but like that's how the people see him.
Yeah.
Is he like sort of transcends that role of Jedi Knight into like a bit of a hero.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're sort of like working with that a little bit too, and working with like his escalation into anger in episode 3, it looked like to me.
Okay.
I will say, without going directly into some stuff, it looks like parts of the final episodes of this take place during gaps in Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Yeah, because I will give you one specific thing. Do you remember when Mace Windu turns and says, I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi?
Yes.
In 3? That is directly shown in here as a hologram.
Whoa.
So it looks like they're going to show part of that in here. There's some other stuff too. You see a pregnant Padme.
Wow.
Like visibly pregnant.
Yes.
So I kind of am thinking that like maybe the last episode of this or 2 take place during gaps in episode 3 to show us like, well, where was Ahsoka? You know, or like where was Rex? Or like what was Anakin doing? There's also a scene of Anakin. It's not a spoiler for what you're on, so I'd like to just say it.
Okay.
There is a scene of Anakin walking in front of separatist leaders. Like, not all of them that he confronted on Mustafar, but some other ones.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if this is going to show part of Order 66.
Ooh.
Because part of Order 66 was Anakin hunting down the separatists.
Right.
Remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And so I wonder...
Did he kill Gunray?
Gunray and a lot of others, yeah.
Yes.
He walked in on him on Mustafar, and he was there to take care of them.
Wow.
As in kill them.
Do you think they'll show him killing the younglings, too?
I don't
That'd
know.
Be real dark,
there is
but...
speculation that they might show some of what happened in the temple, because they don't show much.
No, they don't.
You know, they try to cut ahead.
Yeah.
And there was unfinished footage of temple stuff, actually, from episode 3.
Wow.
Which they cut because it was so dark.
I was going to say, that's going to get really dark if they do show some of that stuff.
But how much can they show? It's Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Mandalorian is dark, but it finds ways to avoid it too. You know what I mean?
Like people die, but it's not like, ooh, that was tough to watch.
And there's a lot of cutaways. Like,
yes.
I don't want to talk too much about the Mandalorian yet because it's still fairly new, and there's a lot of parts of the world where people don't have access to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I can think of one very specific brutal death in the very beginning, like the first 5 minutes of the first episode.
Yep. Yeah.
I think we can both think of that they cut away from. You know, it's kind of like that. Like they show something happen, but they like pan away so you don't see.
Yeah, they do
it.
Yeah,
and I think part of that's Disney Plus. So I wonder if that's what they'll have to do in the Clone Wars or what they'll do to get around that stuff.
I don't know.
Either way, I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what's not to be excited about?
Come on, this show is incredible. I'm only on season 2, and it's pretty. And like you said, season 1 was really fun, but season 2 already is like they're really picking up speed here.
Blows it out of the water.
Yeah. Quickly.
This is going to be a 1-minute story.
Great.
I would like you to just cover it real quick. I've actually written it out for you specifically. I've hid some nuggets in the writing. So I'd like you to take a look.
So Ewan McGregor was asked about just his show and like what's going on because there were some rumors of delays
with Kenobi.
in the shooting. Yeah, with Kenobi. And this is a quote from him. He said, "We've just pushed to the beginning of next year, which is January 2021. The scripts were really good. He had seen 90% of the writing, and it'll."
No, go ahead and read that.
Will feature Pooh Bear.
Yeah, because he played Christopher Robin.
Dude, if that would have been like a teleprompter on a news station, I would have read it, you know?
Why didn't you read it?
I know, I stopped myself just in time. There's all this BS about creative differences and that stuff, none of it true. They just pushed the dates, they had more time to read the stuff that had been written, and they felt like they wanted to do more work on it. Not nearly as dramatic as it sounds, and it will start shooting January 2021.
Right.
So, they're going to get
nothing
going.
to be worried about.
Nothing to be worried about.
I don't think Ewan would just make that up. I mean,
no.
like, he's a pretty straightforward guy when he's asked questions. I mean...
And they said that the official, like, start date hasn't been changed at all. It hasn't been announced, but they haven't changed the official launch date of the show. So
right.
Nothing really to see there, I guess. It's just... They wanted to touch up the script, and the shooting will start January 2021. So long ways away.
Looking forward to it.
Exactly, yeah.
I wanted to do one little touch on Joker here with you.
Go on.
Because it's sort of a final look. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But Todd Phillips had a little interview with Deadline, and he was talking about his idea of what Joker was about. And I think it's something you and I said it was about way back. And a lot of people did, so it's not like we were pioneering the idea.
Right.
But I just want to sort of give his take on it. That's interesting. He said, "There's a loss of empathy in the world that we all feel nowadays. Everything else was built on that. What if you grow up in a world without empathy? What if our Gotham was a cold, dark place full of people who don't really give a shit about each other? That's where this villain comes from." And I think that's sort of the core of this story. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, is like, I think a lot of people conflated a lot of politics with this story, you know?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There was a lot of like, Joker bad because, you know, Joker use gun kill. And like, it's not really about that at all. It's about this idea of like a lack of empathy, of being numb to the world, being numb to suffering around you. And I think it's nice that Todd Phillips sort of said that. I don't think he should have to. I mean, like, I'm not an idiot. I think anyone who, I'm just going to straight up say it, anyone who walked away from this movie and didn't get that was a moron.
Oh,
like,
yeah. And
like, who couldn't tell that was the core of the movie?
They literally said at one point in the movie, I think it was at the end, I guess mild spoiler, but at the end he's talking, and Robert De Niro's character Murray was like, "So is this a political thing?" And he's like, "No, I don't care about politics. Like, this is just me." Joker literally says, "I'm not into politics" in the movie at some point. So it's like, this is not something that should have been political at all. It was just focused on...
Are you saying Joker didn't, like, pull out who he was going to vote for, like a filled out ballot, and show it to the camera and point
he, like,
to
leans
it?
back and he's got, like, feel the burn on his tricep, you know?
He's got that on the one tricep, but on the other tricep he has MAGA, just to, like, really mess with the crowd and cause chaos.
He's really...
So he's like an
agent of chaos.
Yeah, and then, like, the crowd, like, fights a civil war amongst each other. No, yeah, it's never about that. I don't get how anyone was stupid enough to think it was, because that's what you are. Honestly, if you think that Joker was about politics and was like about like, you know, gun control and like all this stuff, you're a moron. Like, that's not what it was about. It was about a lack of empathy, a society that's broken, that allows, like, you know, all these terrible messed up things to happen to people and doesn't care and doesn't realize when they turn into a monster that they caused it.
Well, even, and it talked about mental health too, and how like just ignoring that, look, like stuff like this can happen when you just throw and you don't care, you don't show empathy, like he says. So it was way deeper than politics, honestly. Yeah. Like, politics is surface level thinking, I feel like, with this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dive a little
and
deeper.
We're big brain.
Big brain time.
We here on the Screens and Dreams podcast, I would say that we're big brain, big pee guys.
Yeah, dude.
We got both pee-pees going.
Yeah.
And so if you're not on our level, you're an idiot.
Yeah. And you have small pee-pee.
Little pee-pee. Yeah. No, I don't know. I wanted to talk about that because it really annoyed me that people made it about politics.
I agree.
You know, there were some surface level ideas in there too about like the rich and like how that interacts with the economy and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, but that was never the core.
That's not really like politics, I guess. Either.
No,
that's more
it's
so
more
just
economics.
like economics, exactly.
Which economics have now become conflated with politics because it's weird because there's this idea now, without getting too far off the rails into politics, because we're not a political podcast or channel really. But I also don't hide what I think about something.
Yeah.
I would say that the idea of economics has become so wrapped up in politics because there's this idea that if you're right wing, that you should give all kinds of leniency to businesses and people with lots of money and let them do whatever they want because they know what's best for the economy. And if you're left wing, you should take those people down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simplifying it as much as possible, like explain to a 5-year-old.
Right.
And there's going to be tons of people closer to the center of that spectrum that lean one way or the other that are not that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the absolute far versions of those things are that. It's rich bad, rich good. Like, that's a big part of those politics.
Oh,
and it's like,
yeah.
and that's not what this was
No.
because that's not really what those politics are supposed to be anyway.
No, you just hear the louder voices are the extremes on their side. That's why you hear about it. It's because it's the extremists are the very loud and vocal people.
And these people make it seem like that's everybody. First off, these people who think everything is about politics, they make it seem like everybody on the left is this, everybody on the right is this. And if you like that thing, you're my enemy. And Phillips was never about telling that side of the story. The closest he got was, hey, what if a rich guy didn't really care about the people around him and people noticed?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's something that goes way back in history, though. That's not like a simple, like, oh, nowadays that's the only time it's ever gone on.
No.
That's all throughout history, all throughout the world. That's not breaking news by any means.
No.
So it's like, what? I mean, it's just a very surface level way to look at the movie, in my opinion. And I don't like that.
It's like a kindergarten understanding of like what you're seeing because you're so blinded by your own politics that you can't see somebody else's take on the world.
Go into a movie and look at it for what it is, and you don't need the influence of politics to look at a movie. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't bring the Communist Manifesto and the Communist Manifesto. I don't bring that in every time I go to see, Solo, a Star Wars story. I'm like,
dude.
Okay, but how does the Empire play into like social economic norms? I'm just like, okay, I'm enjoying Solo.
Woody Harrelson's a communist.
He said his name is Solo. You know who else was Solo? Karl Marx before people adopted his views. Just like writing down like furiously during the movie. I don't know. It's all stupid. The world's dumb.
Yep.
All right, gaming news. Woo! Stressing that this is a leak. We only have like 15 minutes.
Great.
There is a possible 2 games in the works for Silent Hill. Silent Hill has been dead forever.
That's what I heard, yeah.
It's been dead since you and I played Silent Hills, like the PT demo for Silent Hills. Remember
been
that?
That long?
Yes.
Wow. Because I don't follow the games, but that's crazy.
Well, and it was involving Guillermo del Toro back then and Hideo Kojima. They were going to work heavily on that. It got canned because Kojima's like relationship with Konami.
Oh, Konami.
Really got stressed.
I did hear about that.
I was thinking in my head, I was losing my words, but that got really stressed. And Konami sort of kicked him to the curb in a lot of ways.
Wow. Okay.
Allegedly. That's what it looked like. And so we've sort of hit this point too where that's just been dead. They had said they weren't going to give up on them, but there was nothing, so we thought they did. And you know what pachinko machines are? They're kind of like the slot machines where you like pull the lever and it drops the ball down.
Yep.
The Konami has been focusing on that and gambling because they make so much money off of it that they haven't needed to make video games. They still make like Pro Evolution Soccer, I believe, and just like a couple little things. They've done some like little remasters here and there.
So they make physical slot machines, basically?
Yeah, basically. That's the easy American breakdown of what pachinko is.
Wow.
It's like a slot machine.
Okay.
And they had, the reason I brought that up, by the way, is one, it's why they haven't been focusing on games, I think, because it's so much more money for so little
Sounds
work.
way more lucrative. Yeah.
For way low work. I mean, it would be like if you and I ran a lemonade stand, but for a tenth of the money, we could run an orange stand and make 10 times the money.
Yeah. Why do we do the lemonade stand?
Why are we doing the lemonade stand? That's how it seems like they look at it. And you know why you do the lemonade stand is because maybe you have a passion for lemonade and not for oranges. Mm-hmm. That's why you keep the lemonade stand. If you don't have a passion for it, you ditch it for the orange stand.
Yeah.
And does this make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we're having apple juice. No, well, that's what I'm saying is that I feel like the passion was gone from the corporate.
Yes.
It was money. And maybe that's changing in some ways. I don't know, but it looked like there was 2 games in the works. This was from a trusted leaker on Twitter. Take it however you want, because I know that there's been a lot of leaks on Twitter that have gone nowhere. This guy, Aesthetic Gamer, has had a lot of great ones that have gone places, that have some credibility. So I think that's worth noting, is he has a history of not just talking out of his backside.
I think it's a she. It's Vicky Blake is what it says on there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assume gender.
You disgusting animal.
I'm really sorry about that. Well, I was going by the, by the name.
No, I understand. Yeah, I just glanced at it and was like, oh, Vicky Blake. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Well, maybe Vicky Blake is not a girl, though. And you're going to come off this right. Looking bad. And I will look like the hero.
I'm disgusting.
All I'm saying is if I say what something that's gospel, and I'm always right.
You're right.
You're probably right. But what they I'm going to say, ended up saying was that in other news, while I'm dropping this stuff, and I think I can talk about this, I'll mention there's a couple new Silent Hill games in the works. Konami, about 2 years ago, reached out to various developers to pitch ideas for 2 Silent Hill games, one a soft reboot of the franchise. So that would likely not, hard reboot where it's just a start over, but it would kind of pick up at a point, a jumping in point. You could have the history there if you want to, but you don't need it.
Not necessary.
That's what it seems like. So to tell you what a soft reboot is, a lot of people described episode 7 as that. You don't need the history for it. It's very clearly like heavily inspired by the past movies and starting over with, episode 4 kind of in a way. But it's more enjoyable with them. You could still enjoy it without.
Sure.
It's that kind of idea.
Okay.
Maybe Fantastic Beasts is another idea. Yeah. I don't think you needed Harry Potter for it.
Yeah, that's a good example.
So that was one of them. The other was a episodic Telltale / Until Dawn style game to go alongside the reboot. So that probably would have featured another character or taken place in the same town or whatever, which is pretty much always Silent Hill. And they said that they don't know anything more about that, but they hope Konami's given it to the appropriate budget and found the right developer to make those games succeed. So obviously we don't know if this is going to happen or not, but it looks like it might. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, playing PT with you was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my entire life, but it was a fun experience, and it was good, and it was interesting, and it challenged your mind a little bit. So I'm not like a giant fan of the Silent Hill
because you don't love horror.
No, I'm not a big horror guy. I do appreciate a good horror game though, and I know that this franchise is a very storied and well-liked franchise. So it's cool to see it come back, and for them to make 2 games like that is it's cool because they're going in 2 separate directions. Too, a soft reboot is a really good idea for it. And a Telltale Until Dawn game is great too, because I really enjoy those kinds of games. I like having the option of choice and like impacting things like that. So doing it in a Silent Hill setting sounds like a great idea.
Well, yeah, and there was also a lot of like artistic direction that you have seen over the years with Silent Hill, like even from someone who's outside of it that just looked in, that is pretty incredible.
Oh yeah,
like with storytelling and stuff. And,
absolutely.
And that's why it's a real shame that it's been gone. It's not the horror; it's the storytelling
for sure.
And the world is fantastic. Final story before we just give our quick closing. They are bringing in new Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
I'm like losing my mind.
Hey, no problem.
They're bringing in new Arkham Knight DLC, but it's not new. I'm going to have a video up about this. I think by the time this goes up, I would assume that I'm actually going to put this out on Wednesday this week, even though I don't normally upload that day.
Yeah,
because. And talk about this on Tuesday when it comes out. But the Earth 2 Dark Knight skin is going to be available worldwide to players on PS4. Sadly, it's still not on Xbox, which is kind of dumb.
Do you know why?
I don't know, because Rocksteady has this weird exclusive thing with PlayStation.
Oh, they always have. Yeah, you're right.
And we both have PlayStation. I have an Xbox as well, so I don't care. But I just think it's a shame for the Xbox gamers who really appreciate this game.
Yeah.
That version got shafted. It has a worse resolution. It has worse performance. It has less skins. It's just stupid.
It just doesn't work. Oof.
It's just dumb.
Not as bad as the PC, but not great either.
No, and the PC one's good now, but it's just the whole thing's a shame.
Yeah.
But they're bringing that skin back on the 28th of January, which I guess would have been yesterday or the day before yesterday whenever I put this up. It was originally only available in a few promotions in North America and the European collection, like the Arkham collection.
Oh.
So it looks like, a lot of people still don't have it. I don't have the skin. Do you have it?
I don't have it, no.
I don't even have Zura R because I didn't hook it up to the WB Games thing back when
I did get that.
And
I did
that kind of blows a little bit. I never was able to get that, but whatever.
It's a crazy looking skin. Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I don't really use it a lot, but it's crazy. And this is really cool. I like this skin. I like that they're adding it. And this game's been out, what now, like 4 years?
5?
Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing is there was a lot of takes on Twitter. 5-year-old game gets DLC.
Yeah.
It was really kind of like putting down Arkham Knight, which I found funny. I actually retweeted that, and I think I said something like, "Bad thing, good. Me only want new thing."
Yeah.
Like as a joke.
It's true. I think it's really cool that they're adding something in. Actually, I like the idea. It's a reason to go back and play it again. And I mean, we're still playing it, pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Whether it's you getting gameplay for the channel or even just playing it for fun once in a while.
Oh, I went back into Arkham City like just a day ago, and I messed around on Riddles for just an hour just because.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun thing. So to have an excuse to have new Batman content at all is exciting. So,
and even if you're just a fan of photo mode, this gives you a whole different thing to do with it.
Oh yeah, you can do a bunch more. I mean, it's just a different costume, but it's cool. It's
it is
something
cool.
new, and it's you can go play on all the different challenge maps in the game mode in New Game Plus. So it's a reason to go back and play again. So it's cool.
I agree. Okay, so closing, real quick. I have a really dumb story. It's going to be about 1 minute. Then we'll talk about what we played and watched.
Lay it on me.
I built a PC.
Okay.
With one of my friends' help. We both ended up getting really mad and stopping eventually. I took it home. The CPU fan didn't work, which to the layman is essentially, which I am, by the way, also. This is the first one I've ever built. The CPU fan, or the fan mounted above it, is supposed to sort of circulate airflow. There's like an intake, it goes in, pushes it through, there's an outtake fan. The CPU fan in the middle wouldn't work, the outtake fan did. Brought it home, I managed to mount the hard drive, which had been just hanging there, because I'm an idiot, with my brother's help. And then what I did was I actually got the CPU fan running, and now the case fan in the back doesn't work. And the lights in it don't work, and I'm mad. And I don't have Windows 10 on there, so I'm finally just taking it somewhere. And I hate that I have to do this, and it feels bad to even admit it, but I'm just in over my head and needed help. I just need to take it somewhere, have them help me, install Windows 10 on it while they're at it, because then I don't have to deal with that either. And it's like the same price to have them do that with the repair as it would be for me to just go do it. So I might as well just have them do it.
Yeah.
I'm just bummed because I have to spend a few $100 more on it. And it might seem like an extravagant purchase. Like, oh, why do you even need it? It's like, well, I need it for PC games because this is now partially what I do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I need to be able to cover stuff on PC as well. My PC is garbage. It's from 2015. It is down the crapper. It takes like 5 minutes to start up.
Ugh.
That's the point we're at. So it's like I just needed something. I figured I might as well build it. And I'm at this standstill where I'm disappointed with what happened. But at least someone can help. So we're going to take that right after this podcast. We're going to take it to the store.
Yeah, take it, get fixed. You showed me it quick. The thing looks like a car engine. So it's horrifying. I don't think it's a bad thing to say you need help. That thing's terrifying.
It's not. That's not the bad thing. The bad thing is when you drop a bunch of money on something and you expect it to work and then you messed it up.
Yeah.
You know, that feels bad.
Sure.
It's kind of like hitting a tree with a new car. You know, you feel like you just dumped all this money in and then you screwed up.
And then you ruined it.
That's how I feel a little bit, I guess. So that's been frustrating. I'm hoping it's back by the time this goes up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will be. It might take a few days, but the other crutch PC will work in the meantime for videos.
Right. And I mean, they'll fix it. It'll be good to go. And then it's on them to fix everything and make sure that it's the way that you want it. And then you're set, dude.
My blood pressure had been so high, though, because I had called them. I don't even want to say who it was because I don't want to give them a ton of bad press or whatever now that we have actual, a viewer base. But I called them and they put me on hold and they eventually just hung up. And it must have been a mistake when transferring me. But I got annoyed, so I was like, whatever, I'll just take it to the store. I go in, they're like, yeah, appointment only.
That's so
I'm like,
annoying.
you hung up on me! You hung up on me! You could have told me that. So that's why I was mad, and I'm still frustrated. But whatever, we'll get it taken care of. What can you do, right?
Super annoying process, especially when it's that much money involved in it too. It's a lot. It's a lot of stress.
Yeah,
I get it, dude.
I will say, as far as playing stuff, I haven't actually played that much last week. I started playing The Last of Us multiplayer again.
Oh,
that's pretty fun. I've been playing that with a couple of friends online, so that's enjoyable, but it's impossible because everyone's a god on it now.
Oh, yeah, I bet, yeah.
I beat Telltale Batman Season 2 for the first time ever.
Yes!
I never loved it.
Quick thoughts.
Loved it.
Amazing.
John is the best Telltale character,
incredible.
in my opinion.
The multiple endings,
best.
amazing. It's incredible where you end up to.
Everything's fantastic. I think I said last week I finished The Mandalorian. I love that too.
Great.
That's the last thing I watched. You know, I've not watched a lot either. I rewatched all the 007 Daniel Craig movies. Have you watched those?
I've watched one of, I think, Skyfall.
You should watch all of them through, like Casino, Quantum, Skyfall, Spectre.
Skyfall was
fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's the best one, but they're all great.
Okay.
So that's all I've got to say. We'll wrap up yours, and then we have to leave in a couple minutes.
Quickly.
How's your week been? What have you been doing?
It was good. So Goat Simulator was the free game of the month. So I went in and I actually platinumed it. I was super excited because there's a trophy on there called Flappy Goat that is insanely difficult. Like just the it's basically Flappy Bird that you're playing as a goat in the game. It's super hard. The blocks you're supposed to sneak through don't always work. Like the recognition, the spaces, it's just all messed up. Like it's mostly like bad game design and it is like bad skill, and a lot of people don't like it. But I was able to get it, got that done. I've been watching actually Clone Wars a little bit, but I also have been looking for a really long time for the show Comic Book Men. I don't know if I've ever told you about it. It's on Amazon Prime Video. It's basically Pawn Stars, but with Kevin Smith as it's his store called Secret Stash in New Jersey. And it's a bunch of guys that basically, like, people bring in stuff, just all comic book, nerdy stuff, and they talk about it, they price it, and they give you history on it. It's super cool. So they have 7 seasons of that, so I'm in there watching that on Amazon Prime right now.
That's awesome.
And I'm loving it. So I'm going to go in and I think still play... I've been playing Madden a little bit and stuff too, but I'm going back...
Oof.
I know. It's really not that great this year either, so it's a little disappointing. But I'm going back and I'm going to try to platinum Lego Batman 3 because I never did it. So I'm going to try to platinum.
I've never played through all of Lego Batman 1, and I just bought it.
It's fun.
So I'm excited to do that. And I put a poll up this week, and it looks like people actually want to see a GoldenEye 007 Reloaded review.
Oh,
which I'm excited for, which I'm literally crossing my fingers that people watch when I post it. Because, like with The Last of Us, it didn't do super hot.
Yeah.
But you know, I make those reviews because they're fun.
You enjoy them.
Yeah, that's why I make those. It's like they're a fun break for me to get to play something else and talk about it.
Right.
And I think people enjoy them, so I'm like excited for that. You know,
yeah, dude.
Even if it's a niche thing, I like
just
it.
enjoy the content. If you're having fun making it, who cares? You know?
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'm excited to do that.
Yeah.
And I think I'll be. Not to like cut off your week because you were done. Right?
I'm pretty much done. Yeah,
I will say that I would like to make some videos about Telltale Batman Season 2 soon.
Yes,
because it was so good.
It's a blast. Yeah,
and I would love to take some like I would like your help too with this too, like ideas for talking about the writing of those games and Arkham.
Yeah,
like because we've done a lot of breakdowns of like favorite things, but it'd be cool to like actually analyze the writing of like a character.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, I'd love to go back and play it again too before we do because it's been a while. I played it right when it came out. And I haven't touched it since, so it'd be fun. It's 10 hours and you're done, too. Yeah. You're going through one episode at a time. It's basically a movie. So if you do 5-6 movies, you're done.
It's so great.
It's a blast. It's amazing.
So, hey, we hope you enjoyed the podcast this week. We'll be bringing it back in a couple weeks again, I think. This one was a little longer out. I think it was 3 weeks, but not a lot happened this time of year. It's just like we couldn't do it every week.
Especially
even
now,
if we wanted to.
Yeah, we need them to stack up a bit so we can get more news. I know.
Yeah, like this was 3 weeks worth of interesting stories. It was an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So hey, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this? Did you not? What are your takes on what we talked about? What do you think about all these movies and games? And we'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day. You're awesome. Stay cool. Like Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. The best Batman movie